Okay, hey folks, Brian, try number 3. I'll get this done so I can get into my homework. The Earth Goddesses installment on Aldrya. Again, mythos and history before time, since time began, other worlds, all kind of stuff. Good stuff to read. I probably, as a GM, should be reading it as well for this whole world creation stuff. I'll go back and do that later as I try to piece stuff in. Just a couple of interesting tidbits. This is the ancestral cult for sentient and non-sentient Algiami, and that historically elves had wars among themselves. Um, but since Third Age, the dying out of the elder races, that doesn't really happen so much. They kind of cling to their own little forests. Xenophobic, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, excuse me. So each region worships its own forest spirit of the goddess. Each location, their own thing. Um, this actual worship is carried through the great trees, and the great tree is an actual tree. It's been around since the god time, right? Um, Sometimes it's called Shaughnessy, which is Aldrya's lover. That's also the name of the tree in Tardisi's Grove. And Shaughnessy is often worshipped as Aldrya's husband. Forest beings are effectively divided into 5 subcults. So you've got the Aldriami cult, and then 5 subcults underneath there. The first one is plants. Not a whole lot of interest there. The second cult is Children of the Forest, and creatures like runners, um, pre-adolescent Aldriami, and non-Aldriami who wish to join the Aldrya cult can join the Children of the Forest subcult. They have little or no responsibilities. Okay, the other 3 cults are big ones, right? The High King Elf, Elder Sisters, and Gardeners, right? There's this thing on High Holy Days how they got each season has their own bent on the worship service, fertility, council meetings, preparing for winter, that kind of stuff, right? During storm season, another predominantly elvish holy day is the dance of life from death. This involves kissing dryads to awaken them, tickling pixies, and fighting live trolls. Where do they get these live trolls from for their worship services? That makes you wonder. Okay. The plants subcult. It exists primarily for mystical completion, right? Rather than practical purpose. Plants can do what they want. Okay, but occasionally you have like awakened trees or something, right? They're still plants. Okay, Children of the Forest lay membership. All elves, dryads, runners, and pixies are automatically members of this cult upon birth. And it says here that most runners and pixies never develop beyond the lay member stage of the Children of the Forest. I've read this 3 times and things keep piecing together as I go through it again and again and again. Okay, so non-Aldriami can join this cult. Beastmen, Dragonus, Ducks, and humans. No other races. And they've got to go through their test. And then there's a cost for non-Aldriami, right? Okay. So, very little as far as responsibilities. They're supposed to report any damage done to the woods and obey the commands of cult leaders. Standard sort of stuff, right? They are taught how to find water in any wooded area, and they're taught the passwords and signs that help guide them through Aldriami areas. And in return, they receive protection and assistance from their community. So these non-Aldriami initiate or lay members are living in the forest. That's my take. That makes sense. Okay. Skills. There are certain skills taught for free. Bow is taught to elves for free. Which means, since they don't have to pay, their skill percentage should be up towards 75, which is how you can get for training. GM stuff. Okay. Spirit magic. Food song is taught for free. Heal and speed are taught for free. But all lay members are prohibited from having the Dark Wall or Ignite spells. Okay, shamans. Now, shamans is listed underneath Children of the Forest, right? So it's like they're shamans of the Children of the Forest, right? Rather than shamans of Aldrya. But they are listed as shamans of Aldrya. And there's some weird stuff in here like, an adventurer desiring to become a shaman of Aldrya may belong to any subcult. Yeah, so again, there's this nebulous kind of feeling here on the hierarchy of things, right? So, shamans going through their ordeal, right? The shamans of Aldrya have their own ordeal that they go through. And there's very little written down here about it, just enough to make, okay, this is different. And the first thing is, instead of the bad man showing up, or rather, the bad man appears in the form of the dread White Lady, who engages the would-be shaman in the ordeal with her withering glance. If she wins a round, now I'm assuming this means we're still doing spirit combat, but we're not told anywhere what her spirit combat skill is, so I'm assuming it would be the same as the bad man, since it is the bad man appearing as the dread white woman, or White Lady. But instead of losing what the bad man's got, d6 plus something, 3 at least, for his spirit combat damage, it's just 1d6. Taboo and 1d6 magic points if she wins. If the would-be a shaman wins, he should get a shamanistic ability. I'm not sure why they put this whole 1d6 magic points thing here, right? But if a shaman to Aldrya during the ordeal gets dropped down to 0 magic points, they die forever, and the sacred grove is cursed for a year. So you need to be watching your magic points, right? If the applicant survives, they get to sacrifice a point of power. It just says they sacrifice. It's kind of a must. You must sacrifice a point of power, right? And you also, it gives you a rune point to Aldrya, right? And you emerge as a shaman. Shaman fetches can only bind spirit plants, plant spirits. And the shaman belongs to the Children of the Forest. Which at one point I was thinking that maybe shamans was the rune level of Children of the Forest. You know, that hierarchy kind of things. But it says, no matter what subcult they worshipped before. Makes it sound like there's a change, right? Children of the Forest are their responsibility and their stewardship. Good to go. Shaman may not leave this subcult. I'm assuming meaning Children of the Forest? Because shamans is not a subcult in its own, right? Even though it's kind of listed like it is. But they can only leave to become a gardener. So you can't leave Children of the Forest as a shaman. Well, I'm talking about shamans. You can't leave being a shaman except to become a gardener. But gardeners can be shamans. Does that mean that you can't become a High King Elf initiate if he's a shaman? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Okay. Shamans of Aldrya may only learn and teach certain spirit magics. And there's a list. But shamans of Aldrya may learn rune spells. And here they don't talk about doing the special thing for or paying or donating a certain value of stuff to get access to the rune spell. They just have access. You just have to sacrifice the power points. Okay, High King Elf Initiate membership. Any elf automatically join the cult with the sacrifice of point of power. That's not being a lay member, that's being an initiate. There is no lay membership apparently for the High King Elf. Interesting. Because we know that all elves are automatically members of Children of the Forest. Okay, now, when it said any elf, first thing I thought, what about other Aldriani? Does that mean that pixies and runners and dryads can't be initiates of the High King Elf? Because it goes on and talks about any non-elf candidate must first prove themselves to the Council of Elders. And it's got the little test thing, plus the skills they need to have and all that kind of stuff. And sacrifice the point of power. And then they're turned into an elf. They are staked to a magic tree. They have their thigh bones and upper arm bones cut out of their body. They're disemboweled. They have a hole drilled into their skull. And they're replaced with sticks and plant stuff and soil and a root in their brain. Oh, and their genitals also amputated and then replaced with seeds. Yeah. And then the tree is slit open and they go inside. And then they get produced as a nut of some sort, and they wake up inside the nut, and they can break out. They're now a new elf and are welcomed by the cult. Mythologically, I'm assuming they have become elves. They are no longer whatever race they were before, which would have to be limited to beastmen, dragoons, ducks, or humans, since those are the only ones that could be lay members of the Children of the Forest, right? Lay members of the Aldrya cult, right? Which means they're now elves, therefore they're going to have elf stats. Which means we need to re-roll all of their stats once they're born as an elf. That was very interesting. It's kind of cool too. Okay, so initiates to the High King Elf must take a working part in the elf society. So they become part of society. They've got jobs to do. They can do things there, right? And one of the things is to protect the forest from exploitation and devastation, right? Worship services, 2 magic points, that's standard initiate kind of stuff. Donate 10% of their time and income to an elder sister or gardener member. So it's like almost like a mentorship kind of thing. You've got a mentor and you support them with what you have. They may not, thus the initiate to the High King Elf may not learn sorcery, nor join any, it says religion, I think they mean cult, not associated with Aldrya. So you can have multi-cult membership, right? Now, and this ties into directly to the whole Yamalio and Babista Gore thing that we'll get to later. Because you can have, dual initiations, right? Or definitely initiate plus multiple lay member stuff, right? As long as you maintain all of your responsibilities. But if you are an initiate of the High King Elf, you can only be a lay member or initiate, or even Moon Lord, I guess, of an associated cult, which is interesting and makes sense. And of course, there are a handful of associated cults. Goes through the benefits. Most of these are fairly. I don't have any marks here, so it talks about the bow and equipment. Nothing special there. Well, the bow's special, but yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so skills. Initiates receive free training in a whole slew of skills. Since you can only do training once a season, you've got to pick only one skill in a season. That may be a little limiting. As a GM, trying to figure out what should these skill levels be at. That's a factor. Okay, spirit magics. They also learn a number of spirit magic spells for free, which means if they're an initiate of the High King Elf, their charisma should be maxed out with spirit magic. It's free. Okay, and then they have access to the following rune spells. Now it's interesting they do not list those 3 things that we listed in Aldrya about stuff for the cult, bringing notoriety to the cult or something, and then the 100 lunars per point donation thing, right? That's not listed here. They just have to sacrifice the power. Okay. Elder Sisters. Initiation of dryads commonly occurs between the 10th and 17th years after the awakening. So it sounds like only dryads are members of the Elder Sister subcult. They all sleep during the darkness and storm seasons. But it says here later on that non-dryads of this cult have several options open to them. They can inherit a tree from a dryad who has died, or they can form part of the wandering priesthood that moves through the woods. The wandering dryad. So that's... But there's no turning a person into a dryad thing like there was turning somebody into an elf. So, I'm not sure. There's got to be some kind of discorporation ability, especially if you inherit a tree. So, I'm not sure exactly how that would work. And if they would then become dryads, in which case their stats change again. I hadn't thought about that before either. Okay, so dryads have responsibilities. Uh, they are characteristically, right, because they're magic users, is that they will use more than just the minimum amount of power for worship, and they expend more than what is necessary during worship. But because they are in fact worshipped in return, their power increases by 1 on every high holy day. No roll, it just goes up. That's some power. But because it's not a fighting cult, they do not maintain their fighting skills above the maximum Dex times 5 ability. I'm thinking, is it just fighting skills, or is it all manipulation skills? Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just combat skills. Something I need to think about. Okay, benefits. Initiate. Notice we haven't talked about rune priests or anything yet, just initiates, right? No lay membership either. Right to initiation. Initiative Elder Sister will always be able to find food or water in the forest. They can see the great tree and take part in rituals with it. They may also attain gardener status. We're talking about attaining gardener status with the rune oh, we haven't got there yet. The Wood Lord, which is the Rune Lord for the High King Elf. Same thing with the gardener's deal. Okay. Elder Sisters, initiates of the Elder Sisters cult, subcult, receive allied spirits and bind them into their home tree. So we've got initiates that are all gaining power like a priest, get an allied spirit like a priest. That's some power there. Okay, so Elder Sister initiates are given free training in whatever skills they want, and they can obtain any of the following spirit magic spells for free. And there's the whole list, which goes back to the bestiary about all dryads and, for that matter, all nymphs and naiads, and there was another one they list by name in the book. Have their charisma maxed out with spirit magic, and they would. But so would initiates of the High King Elf, according to this write-up. Okay. Elder Sisters provide access to all common rune spells for free. Additionally, initiates can learn special rune spells, and there's a list of them, right? Again, no have to do special stuff, just sacrifice, no cost. An Elder Sister can learn any of the following enchantments. Another priest-like concept applied to initiates. Okay, let me get to the Wood Lord, which is the Rune Lord version of the High King Elf, right? Cult. That's what it says right here. There's no comparable status for the Elder Sisters cult because they're already getting rune level like stuff. Okay, requirements for acceptance. Initiate High King Elf, 5 years, all that kind of stuff. Part of the Aldrya army, which is the army, right, for 3 years. Must have proved capable of command in the elf army. Good to go. Some good RP stuff there. 90% in elf bow and at least 2 of the following. They got skills, right? Must have certain spirit magic spells. Restrictions. Never eat meat. Aldryami do not eat meat, so this might be tied specifically into the non-Aldryami types. But then, if they go through initiation, the High King Elf, they become elves. So they are Aldryami. That just occurred to me, right? It says Aldryami never do in any case, though. I'm not sure what they're trying to get to here, right? Never kill except in self-defense or in the woods. Excuse me. And the perversion of life called undead must be smitten whenever found. Benefits: to get an allied spirit awakened in their elf bow. They can see the great tree, take part in those rituals, and may also attain gardener status. Did it say anything about gardener status with the shamans? Yeah, they did. The shamans. The shaman can only leave the shamans to become a gardener. That's interesting. Interesting. Okay. The Wood Lord may use rune points to cast any rune spell available to the High King Elf subcult. So that sounds to me like once you make Rune Lord status, you don't need to sacrifice power for access to specific spells. You have access now to all the spells. You just sacrifice for rune points. That is powerful. It'll depend upon the rune spells they've got. How many rune spells do they have? Rune spells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, interesting. Enchantments. Wood Lord can learn any of the following enchantments for the same terms as other special rune spells, which we just read was any. So they also have access to all of these enchantments. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enchantment. Seven enchantments. So how many rune points you have to sacrifice to be a rune lord? Doesn't say here. I don't remember the standard is, but for gameplay, generally we're at 3 to be an initiate, so 3 rune points, but you've got access to, 15 spells. Interesting. Okay, gardeners. Gardeners are a special part of elf culture who form the general council of elders. Candidates in the council of elders may be an awakened tree. Interesting, right? Elder sister or a wood lord. Doesn't say shaman here, but it should add shaman of the children of the forest, right? They have to serve for 20 years. Okay, and they have to pass the test. Gardeners have access to all common rune spells for free. Additionally, they learn special rune spells, enchantments. They have the same enchantments that the Wood Lord had. Okay, subservient cults. We've got the cult spirits, right? Small and earth elementals, plants, nature spirits, dryads, spirits of the wood and forest, right? Then there's talk about spirits of reprisals. Those who fail to defend the forest may suffer the same loss as the forest. And this may take years to accomplish, right? In addition to those who break faith with their garden are haunted by nature spirits. Those who commit minor infractions will be allowed a chance to make redress. Oath breakers, such as the traitors who allowed the moon burn to occur, are haunted until death. Okay. Another subservient cult, Communion of the Tree. It's an empathic connection with Aldrya. As long as they're within a wood, it guards them against befuddle, demoralize, and fanaticism spells, as well as the rune spell Fear. That is cool. Oh, it's not automatic though, but it does allow them to treat their power as if it was ×2 when they defend against it. Double your power for defense against. As long as you're in the woods, orders don't count. And then the Shaughnessy subservient cult, worshipped by all elves, teach food song to all of Aldrya's children. Okay, associated cults. Chalana Roy gives gardeners the cure all disease spell. Dendara gives the restore health spell. Aretha gives shamans wood lords, and gardeners. Speak with her. Beast. Ernalda gives dismiss earth elementals and command is summon earth element. Oh, gives children of the forest dismiss earth elementals. Oh, take that back. Read this again. Gives all subcults except for children of the forest dismiss earth elementals. So children of the forest don't get dispersed, but everybody gets command and summon. No, it's not that either. She provides command and summon to elder sisters. Okay, so Ernalda does not give. No, Ernalda gives dismiss earth elemental to High Elf King. Elder sisters get dismiss earth elemental, command and summon earth elementals, small and medium. Gardeners get earth power. Plus, I'm assuming either the dismiss or the command summon if they were previously either the High Elf King or Elder Sister. Well, Elder Sisters also get dismissed. That's interesting. That's kind of a weird ride of words between things, right? Okay, Famal gives gardeners bear fruit. Gata, the primal earth, gives shamans, wood lords, and gardeners gnome to gargoyle, but not the earth elder sisters. There we go. Varia gives no magic, but Aldrya cherishes and protects her sister. Yelm provides sun ripen to shamans and to gardeners. Yamalio provides cat's eye to wood lords and to gardeners. Yalorna teaches any elf who desires it the spell Detect Silver for free. That's cool. Makes me think of these moon worshipping, star worshipping elves. And a subgroup kind of thing. Anyway, okay, miscellaneous notes. I'm sorry it's taking so long. Almost done. Wow, this was a long one. Elves and Babistagor. Babistagor is the primary war deity of the Aldrya outside the High King Elf. So elves can become initiates of Babistagor. She's particularly popular among the rootless elves. Despite being sisters, they are not associated cults. Aldrya and Babistagor. Babistagor protects and defends Aldrya like she would any other earth deity. Okay, there's some stuff here on elf society. And about non-Aldryami in the society, that kind of thing. And there's the rootless elves and renegades. These elves are officially exiled from their religion, should be called, but some choose to remain within their known elvish society. Rootless elves are those who have been rejected by the cult or choose to quit, and also those who turn their backs completely on their old people. Many often turn to outright hatred. It's like we saw this elf versus elf conflict kind of stuff. And then it goes through the various elves, the yellow elves, brown elves, green elves, other elf types, fire elves and moon elves have been rumored. And then Aldrya personalities are strongly affected by the seasons. Whew, finally, and we got 2 pages of the elf story. Look it up, read it, have fun. Happy gaming.